I am Moran Cerf. I'm a professor of neuroscience and business.
Amazing. Moran, can you tell us what you're excited to share at Science in Theater Festival?
Okay, so there are like 3 or 4 questions that every person that wants to become a neuroscientist is after. And those questions are questions that touch the essence of who we are as people. They are questions about free will. How do things begin? Questions about consciousness. What does it make us us? Question about dreams. What happens when our consciousness disappears and movies emerge inside our brain? All of those questions are the topics that I'm fascinated by and failing to solve as a neuroscientist. However, as artists, you can take only the good stuff from the research and put it in a way that everyone understands and inspire others to think about and maybe recruit new brains into this endeavor.
Fantastic. Okay, you're just like forcing me to ask this question. What's your sweetest failure in trying to understand any of these subjects?
So there are a few failures that are big and some that are small. Big ones is that we're not making any progress on really answering the big questions. We're kind of making dents on consciousness. We're understanding what's the visual of dreams, but people want to know free will. Do you have one or not? We have no answer. People want to know, how do I actually download my consciousness so when I'm dead, there's something else that I can essentially replicate into? We don't have an answer for that. For any topic that I mentioned, we didn't really answer the question that as a kid, when someone tells you about the topic, you kind of say, okay, but is there free will? We didn't do anything for that. We kind of make progress on small things which are not nothing and they're exciting and they push the envelope. But the big failure is answering the questions, really, like having a good answer. The small failures for me personally is translating the research into my personal life. You know, I study decision making. And I know a lot about how people make decisions and what biases they have and how to make them better and so on. But when I come to the supermarket, I'm like everyone else, falling for the $6.99, forgetting that it's actually $7, or buying the thing in the middle because it's in the middle rather than actually doing the numbers. The failure is to take the science from the lab and put it into real life. All scientists fail, and I notice that daily for myself. There's this quote I really like by Isaac Asimov, the book author, where he says something, I'm going to butcher that, but the idea that he's kind of trying to depict is that most science doesn't happen with a eureka moment where you kind of sit there and suddenly you discover. It mostly looks like this. You do something. I think the quote is, most science doesn't start with eureka. It starts with the sentence, that's funny. And that's basically where I feel a lot of progress happens. We have a lot of things that we do that don't work out. And they don't work out in a strange way. It's almost working out, but not. And those things are actually where I feel I made the most progress. So I'll give you a concrete example. One of the things I really care about is this idea of sensory addition, which is, can we take people and increase the repertoire of senses that they have? Instead of just having sight and sound and olfaction, maybe they can experience more of the world. This is a big sentence for a science fiction movie. In reality, what it looks like is you take a person who lost their hearing because something happened to their ears and they are no longer working, and you plug something into their brain that's supposed to help them hear a little bit better, maybe get some volume to some things in the outside, and suddenly they tell you after a few weeks, you know, I can actually hear better than I heard before. So that's funny. Not supposed to happen. Those things are actually the building blocks of a new field of research that says, hey, brains can adapt to new ways of getting information into them such that you can remove the ear, put something instead, and the brain's going to learn how to hear from that new thing. That's revolutionary research, enhancing senses. But it never felt like it at any point. Like you never say, let's enhance senses. We just say, let's make a person hear better, and moving forward, we maybe will increase sensory experiences for people. The ultimate performance, in my mind, that neuroscientists should study is comedians. Even subset of theater, stand-up comedy is kind of the hardest thing to do brain-wise. So being funny on the spot, live, without prompts, just by talking, is the following. You first of all, having a good performance and good timing and being able to communicate with the audience, and just the basics of all acting is there. But then you also have to be funny. You have to be able to somehow put yourself in the minds of others, figure what they're thinking, lead their thinking into a direction, put in their minds thoughts that are nasty, usually, that they don't want to say out loud, so that they will think them and they will know that you got them there, but you never said it. You never said blondes are dumb, or I don't know, French are smelly. All of those things, I can say all of them because I'm French and surrounded by a blonde woman. But all of those things, you never say them.
In scientific labs, which means that they're not dumb.
Exactly. And they realize that you got them there. They said it. They feel embarrassed. That's laughter. In the same, so that's stand-up comedy. You really kind of play with people's minds like a magician. You walk them there, and you not even saying any words, but they have to say the words that you got them to say themselves. So that's, and in many ways, I think theater is similar. Theater it's a play, but you see the person, and you and them both know that it's a play. It's a role playing. You know that there's a person there. You know that they know that you know that they know that it's not really who it is. It's not Othello really, but they convince you that it's Othello live, and you forget for 1.5 hours, within 5 minutes, you forget that it's actually your friend that is wearing the gown, and now she's Desdemona. All of that happens in front of your eyes. It's kind of fooling our brains. We manage to entirely forget reality and immerse ourselves in a situation that transports us from who we are and the entire room in a heartbeat, to this point that you can actually, you can lift like a little circle cylinder from a camera and say it's a skull, and I'm holding it and I'm saying to be or not to be, and everyone sees a skull. Like you just made it up in your mind. You said this is now a skull, and everyone, 50 people in the room, are all with you. They all see a skull in their mind. No one questioned that. That's a magical thing that only humans can do. Only humans, because we have part of the brain in the frontal lobe that allows us to imagine realities and communicate them, we can do it. No ape will sit in a room and be convinced that this is a banana. Just can't do it. Humans are the only entity that can play this game. Animals can play games, they can interact with each other, but to really transport reality, so I can create an imaginative state and everyone agrees with me, is a human thing that's part of our brain that evolved and made us so successful as the kernel of creation, because we can invent stories and share them without them being real. I think the reason people become more polarized is because behind the kind of computer keyboard, it's very easy to be mean, but when you're in person, you get to see all of the shades of the other side, and you actually get to communicate with them better. So, if you're tired of arguing people over the internet, try having coffee with them in person, and you'll find that suddenly you agree a lot more than you think. You will actually have a lot more in common than you think. So if you're a left-wing Democrat from Brooklyn who constantly argues with the people from Alabama who don't see the world like you, try to get a beer with them for one afternoon. You'll see that you agree on 90% of things. The 10% you don't agree with, you see why they don't agree with you and how they see the world differently than you, and we can accept that. In many ways, that kind of medium, theater, compared to film, for instance, is giving us this extra needed layer of we're in the same room together, we smell the same smell. If there's a siren in the background, we both hear it, even though you're an actor and I'm the audience. If someone sneezes, we both experience that. That small thing makes a huge difference in making us go through the experience together.